My name is Alexandra Van Milligan, and today I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Gatsby Project. So this is a project that was inspired by the book The Great Gatsby. And this is a book that I think a lot of people either read or pretended to have read in high school. But it's a little bit misunderstood. So if you've seen the movie, it's really sort of portrayed as a romance between Gatsby and Daisy. And I was watching this show recently on Hulu, and a girl in a classroom is assigned to read the book over the summer and has this moment where she stands up and she's like, "Why do we have to read this book anymore? It's so stupid. It's just about some rich guy and this girl that he falls in love with." And it seemed like that was just such a gross misrepresentation of the book, because really what The Great Gatsby is about is identity. The canon, which is like the books that everyone should read, it's all old white guys, right? Yeah. And so in the last 10 years or so, people have said well, let's not read all of those stupid books anymore because they're not really helping people. But this one particularly, I think, is just the most fascinating. Gatsby is this poor kid. He's born out in the Dust Bowl in the 20s, so sort of like Depression era, right before the Depression, Roaring 20s, but during Prohibition. So during Prohibition, they couldn't sell any alcohol. He decides to leave the farm. He works as a bunch of different things for a really long time. As a janitor, he tries to go to college, but he can't get through, right? And then eventually he's like, I'm gonna just sell alcohol under the table. And so he starts selling alcohol illegally and becomes a millionaire, really, 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 really rich. But the thing is, he doesn't really know how to act rich, right? So he has all of this money and he moves out to New York, he moves out to West Egg. But kind of like if you've ever been to Graceland, if you know Elvis, who's also this kind of poor kid and then bought a mansion and was just super tacky and bought all this stuff, and he was like, oh, I want a jungle room, I want a room that's all leopard print. And you're like, all right? So Gatsby was exactly the same way. So the people who lived out east were like, no, you're not one of us. And there's this point in the book where he's sleeping with this rich guy's wife, Daisy. He's like, I love this girl, I want her to run away with me. And he says to Tom, her husband, the only difference between you and me is your money, and I have just as much as you. And Tom says, no, you'll never be one of us. You're wearing a pink suit, right? And so the entire thing is about, can someone really climb up the social stratosphere in the United States? Can you really become part of the upper echelon? So when I asked Samina to do it, I was like, you can do whatever you want. I'm not trying to look pretty, I'm not trying to look cute for all of them, right? So you can give me a mullet if you want. You can do things that people probably wouldn't ask her for. So we did a lot of kind of weird stuff. We started with very long platinum blonde curls. So just a very glamorous look. Swapped out hats, swapped out glasses, just seeing well, how can we really turn you into a different person? Can we turn someone into a different person? And in just 24 hours, how many people could you possibly be? So we started with that, had a bunch of hats and stuff as well. And then she cut it up into sort of a long bob and then a little bit shorter, and all the way we were dyeing it too. So she did some really amazing stuff. I didn't ask to see any of the things that she was gonna do in advance. So you can visit GatsbyProject.com if you would like to learn more about the project. We have a full-length avatar creation video that we built out. Super interesting, some original composition, and just a bunch of really cool meditations and experiences. And then I'm also collecting interviews. So if you'd like to contribute to this project, I would love to ask you who created your avatar and learn about how identity has impacted your success.